A Clear Picture by Hilda N. Garrison. That's me. Many of you have seen my other video called Desperate Caregiver on YouTube. I was very emotional and frustrated in that video. Still frustrated. This time I wanted to emphasize my message and give everyone a clear picture about my life in the wilderness. I don't have a video prompter, so I have to do like I did in the other video, the old-fashioned way, read from my notes. I'm doing what I can to get on my feet after being a caregiver to my mother for 3.5 years until she died April 23rd. I walked to the post office to get a certified letter that I received from my landlord that I will be evicted this month. As I said before, I urgently pleaded to the Systematic Society to help me. All I want is an adequate job and some financial assistance to help keep a roof over my head and buy a car. You see, I was steadily working and had a car, but my very old car died 2.5 years ago. I also had a full-time job, but with no vehicle and steady finances, my chances of getting a high-level professional job is very minimal. I sometimes work as a substitute teacher, making $62 a day. I only work half days, $31, because the bus arrives in my area too late to work a whole day. Maybe 2-3 days. Plus, I stay in Harvey, Louisiana. I have to walk approximately 2.5 miles to ride the bus. Also, the substitute pay is too irregular to cover rent and utilities on a consistent basis, especially when school is out for the summer, holidays, and testing. If I had a vehicle now, I'd be steadily working and or searching for a job more often. I have extensive knowledge, skills, talents, and abilities, some hands-on, some trained. I was a banquet waitress for over 20 years, part-time and full-time, while going to school and being an administrative assistant. I have trained some of the banquet managers and waiters who are on their jobs today. This experience qualifies me to be a banquet captain. My other working experiences are very diverse, such as teaching long terms in the school system. My teaching specialties are English, Social Studies, and Spanish 1. I worked in social services, nonprofit agencies doing grant writing, fundraising, housing counselor, and in health booths. I also work as an administrative assistant total 20 years. Clothing sales for 6 years. I also have excellent interpersonal and written skills. My computer skills are also marketable. I have too much experience to cover in this video. I would be glad to meet with a prospective employer in a job interview to discuss my resume. After being a caregiver, I'm about to be homeless. I'm diligently searching for an affordable housing, and these are the stumbling blocks that I've encountered. I would have to be mentally unfit, a drug addict, battered woman, AIDS patient, have children, be elderly, physically handicapped, and a disaster victim to keep or get decent housing. I applied for government assistance housing and was told there are no one-bedroom apartments available. Then I'm placed on a waiting list. The waiting list is up to 1 year or more. I'm on a housing voucher list, and my name is 25,000 or more on that list. If I continue with this stress, my mental and physical health will get me qualified for immediate housing. Thank God I'm in good health. I listen to many of the spiritual leaders on TV, and if I get a ride, I sing in my church choir for spiritual strength. I'm just a hard-working, innovative, multi-talented, multifaceted person who wants to be successful in life after my ordeal with my mother. Caring for my mother was involuntary. My 84-year-old sick mother, Miss Hilda Ora Haley, was born in Havana, Cuba. She suffered with many strokes, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, dementia, and other ailments. I didn't put her in a nursing home because my mother wouldn't have lasted a month because she felt that she would be put there to die. I wasn't a paid caregiver because the Medicare program placed my mother's income too high for additional services, yet her income was barely enough to survive. Medicaid took almost 2 years to help my mother's medical needs. I had to abruptly stop working to be a full-time caregiver. If I had a car now, I would have been working more often. How am I going to get work without steady income or a job, a car? I would wrote to Ellen DeGeneres many times for help with a car. Even my friends wrote several letters on my behalf. I'm barely employed, former caregiver that may be kicked to the homeless curb. All I want is a full-time job to buy a car and maintain my household. When you're homeless, you feel hopeless. Still, when you're homeless, you might get financial and housing help slightly better. Seemingly, the government doesn't help a regular person in her place that she is living in already. When you ask the government agencies for help, they are always running out of money. Yet the politicians can find billions of dollars to run their campaigns. Wow. If they would put half of that billion to federal programs to fund the housings, many of us would keep the housing we have or not go homeless at all. Many would ask, why can't my family put me up until I get on my feet? They live nearby, but they treat me like Cinderella. You may ask why my friends couldn't put me up. In my experience from evacuating for the hurricane, you're only welcome to stay for so long by your friends. Then you become an intrusion or a burden. Still, my good, true friends and my nice neighbors are the best. They're like angels helping me out whenever they can with rides, money, and encouragement. I graduated at 50 years old in 2006 from Tulane University in New Orleans. I made my mother happy and proud that day. I did this to increase my chances in getting a great paying job to improve my life in general. Instead, I'm about to be evicted for 1 to 2 months rent behind. I got no full-time job, no car, no money with my utilities in jeopardy. I went to graduate school, but I had to stop because I couldn't be devoted to my mother and school at the same time. My social life was and is still very limited. I love volunteering for the charity walks. I had a close relative that died from AIDS, so I would volunteer for their walks. I also like to volunteer for breast cancer walks. But I can't indulge in many activities because of no money and transportation. My mother was elderly. She could have moved into affordable and assisted housing, but we stayed together because she wanted me by her side to care for her. She's gone to heaven, and I miss her so much. I watch her take her last breath in her wheelchair. I hugged and kissed her goodbye. I feel like a soldier returning from the war. I fought to keep my mother alive in the last of her life. Now I'm fighting for my life. I know there are many caregivers like me who are dealing with their loved ones. Their stories may be more dynamic than mine. Nonetheless, we are the unspoken heroes making these sacrifices to be our loved one's lifeline. I had to literally watch my mother change from a vibrant, feisty, beautiful, loving person to being an adult infant. You caregivers out there know what I'm talking about. Bathing and changing diapers, etc., etc. I am desperate for a great job. There are thousands of people who are unemployed and homeless. The chances of getting a job seems like 1,000,000 to 1. Some Employees and landlords are using your credit history to deny your opportunity. Almost all employment apps are done online, interviews are rare, and when they look at your resume and see that you held many jobs, they hesitate to hire. Then I'm either over or underqualified with the age as a factor. I need a steady job. Until I get that great professional job that I want and well deserved, if you will land that well-deserved great job, processing your application profile and getting your first paycheck could take up to 2 months. In the meantime, your rent and utilities are due and you need the money to maintain your general household. So you are forced to being homeless when you can't meet the obligation. That's not the landlord problem. They just want their money, their rent. Being homeless with no car, looking for a job at the same time is so cold-hearted. To all your caregivers, veterans, and others who are facing similar challenges, keep up the fight. My birthday is Christmas Day. I want to attend Ellen DeGeneres show to party with her. Ellen, Oprah, Wendy, Steve, and other talk show hosts. Why don't you give us a party, Christmas party? All the caregivers like me, we sacrifice our lives for our loved ones. To the victims of Hurricane Isaac and more recently Sandy, my heart and prayers go out to you too. These phrases are in my poetry collection that I plan to publish as a book when finances permit. When God is in the mix, God will fix. I don't know what to do. I'm raising my hands in prayers to you. In closing, young people, please stay in school. Stop the bull crap and graduate. Even though I'm in this wilderness, I have my education skills and wisdom to stand on. Your education and making wise choices in your life is serious business. So in Jesus' name, students, take care of your education as your business. May peace be with everyone. I'm looking for a miracle. Thanks.